8.5. Ohio State is an 8.5-point favorite at the end of the month. We are in November. College football's flying by. Michigan's not running from it.
What's the early cash the ticket call on 8.5?
I told you I think Michigan's a better team. I'd love getting more than a touchdown.
Okay. There's your money.
There you go.
We'll see if you're right at halftime. If we'll see what type of insight you have when we get to halftime of the Nebraska game.
Yeah, I brought this
That'll
up earlier with you.
Decision if you're legit or not.
Well, I feel like I'm playing the trend where Michigan has struggled in the first half. We said it on Cash the Ticket. You can get Nebraska 15 points. 15 points in the first half. More than 2 touchdowns.
We'll see.
You think this is the week that they are humming the entire first half?
I do.
Not just the first scripted series.
Yes.
And there's been an emphasis on starting better and finishing in the red zone. And there are questions about a downfield passing game. I would argue they didn't really have a downfield passing game last year when they but beat Ohio State.
I mean, Jim, to your point about that whole first half thing, they've only led one game by double digits at half, and that was 13 at Iowa.
Right.
But to the contrary, that's the best defense they played, right?
Yeah, I would say so.
And it was on the road. This is Nebraska at home, softer defense.
I said at the time, and people mocked me, I said the toughest game Michigan is going to play until Ohio State is Iowa. And it was because it was a defense that would challenge a young quarterback. It was proven out to be the case. Michigan State wasn't a tough game. They controlled the line of scrimmage for the entirety of that one. Penn State, they ran for 400 yards in that game. I mean, truly, Iowa was one where you can't beat yourself, and they didn't. It was a road game. It was a true test.
I would agree with that, but I do also think that Michigan did win that game with relative ease.
Yeah, I would say so as well. So here we go. Do you feel confident about Ohio State? Harbaugh said he's locked in. How would you describe your mood? We go to Neil. You're on 97.1, Neil.
Hello?
Hello, Neil. How are you?
Oh, my name's Will. That's what said Neil. Yeah, I'm actually really confident and can't wait for the game this year. Unlike some years where I was really nervous. And the reason for that is that's kind of like a little bit what the guys said, and I think everybody that watches football, the eye test. Ohio State can't run the ball and can't stop the ball. Northwestern lined up in Wildcat and ran straight at them, and they couldn't do anything about it. They couldn't convert running the football on 3rd and short and 4th down. I think Michigan's better this year with JJ at quarterback, even running the football, because of the fact that even when he hands the ball off and fakes, you have to pay attention and watch him for a split second, and you didn't have to do that with Cade.
Don't miss your turn coming up.
That and the defense. The defense is I feel like it's better. Not way better because, number one, they're in the same system for the second year, so it looks like they're playing a lot more confident. And number two, the pressure's coming from everywhere. They're blitzing from the slot, blitzing from, the linebackers. You got defensive tackles dropping back in coverage, confusing the quarterback. And it's just a lot different look. And I think that they're going to go down there with that defense and the running game that travels. And I think it's going to be like a boxing match. I think it might be close in the beginning, but I see Michigan pulling out and wearing down Ohio State at the end. And it probably being a lot worse than what it was at the Big House last year.
Wow. I mean, the theory checks out. I don't know about, winning convincingly, ugly, embarrassingly in Columbus. I mean, I feel like you're going to have to the bitter end, win that game.
No, I mean, and let's face it, too. We are totally discounting or discrediting that if it's a decent weather day, C.J. Stroud has maybe the best wide receiving core in the country.
Oh, I think there's no question.
And then it comes down to Makari Page, Rod Moore, DJ Turner. Those are the type of Will Johnson,
yeah.
Who had his first start against Rutgers, his first interception. All of those different components have to be playing at a very high level. Yes, you can put pressure on C.J. Stroud, and I think that's going to be part of the case. But are you willing to pull Mikey Samerstill out of coverage and bring him off the edge and then leave everybody else either in single coverage or with 2 high safeties and allow the underneath throws? That's the conundrum that you're going to be faced, that Jesse Minter will be faced with defensively.
Ticket text. Huge Michigan fan. Harbaugh better worry about the upcoming games. Illinois is no joke. I don't care what they did against Sparty. They will give Michigan their best shot. Michigan isn't recruiting well enough to win a national title. Okay. Those are two separate points. But
yeah, we're right now currently talking about
Ohio State. And if you're upset that he's referring to the Ohio State game this early, okay.
Well,
I think it's a motivational tool. You got to get to Ohio State.
Well, yes, and I'm not really big on the transitive processes, but when you're talking about, do people think that Ohio State is a national title contender? Can they compete with Georgia? Well, if we're talking about Michigan being able to compete and possibly beat Ohio State, like one is not greater than the other. If you can do that, then you should be able to match up. Now, last year, obviously, they came up woefully short and shy of being able to compete with Georgia. Is Georgia the exact same team? Is Michigan better? Like people are talking about like that. Again, that's a conversation that we can have in December if we get to that point.
Texter says last year in Ann Arbor was a fluke. Ohio State will steamroll Michigan in the shoe. That's a realistic Michigan fan. Okay, that's how it was signed. Another one says, as a Michigan fan, I love that. We aren't stupid. Guys in the locker room are well aware that the last game on the schedule is Ohio State. For that to mean something, they need to win the two in front of them. It shows me they have a confidence and some swag behind them leading down the stretch.
Yeah.
Another person says, I'm always nervous about this game. One knock is they didn't take this game as seriously as Ohio State. It's good to see they're thinking about it, Mike in a cop car. And another one says, slow start. This is for Gov. Slow start is code for doesn't understand the ground game. They play the same game every week. It's not the score at halftime that matters.
All right, rocket scientists. They've outscored their opponents 22 at the half, the 6 Big Ten teams all season. In the second half, it's plus 122.
It's because they're wearing them down, Tom.
I know. And look, that's fine and dandy against these soft Big Ten teams. Can you afford to do that at Ohio State?
What? If you go into the halftime still up?
Or close?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
that's why I said if everybody listens to everything, I actually think their red zone defense is going to be the key to this game.
Right, because if you can
because
keep
I think
it
was the key last year, and nobody wants to talk about it.
Well, and
it's a good point.
You look at what Ohio State did last year in terms of total yardage. Like it's not like they were bums in that game. They moved the ball up and down the field, but they got in the red zone and they couldn't convert those opportunities into touchdowns.
That's why people always want to talk about what happens towards the end of the game or the second half and stuff. To me, Michigan won that football game when they forced 2 field goals in the first half.
Yeah.
I do. I truly believe that.